I have the daunting task of keeping you all awake while I know the fire of digestion is rising high within your tummies. And also I have the daunting task of being the last person to put you onto the torture and test of assimilating all this stuff together. So I'll request you, all of you, to stand up a bit and detach yourself from your chairs, which is what we're supposed to be doing, and this is what Prabhupada's books teach us. And lift your hands and chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You can assume your warm seats again. I'll try to say quite a few things within the very short time I have, and I'll be forced to bite more than I can chew, and I'll try my best before the bell goes off to, like the famous bell goes off and the kids run off to the, lunch time or leave the school and go. So I'll try to be as meaningful as possible and not repetitive, because I think many of you have heard enough things that have been said. My talk is going to just discuss briefly to you the spirit of Sankirtan, the act of giving which Prabhupada has taught us so much, and about the importance of reading Prabhupada's book, following up and measuring our book distribution, and responding to change in a changing world. So these things I'm going to try to cover. Prabhupada, I like to offer my obeisances and respects to him first, as one of the greatest Sankirtan generals ever known, who carried out the order of Lord Chaitanya. I order every man within this universe to accept this Krishna consciousness movement and distribute it everywhere. So he pleased Lord Chaitanya very much. He pleased all the previous acharyas. He carried out the order of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur to the letter and introduced Sankirtan to the whole world. And the meaning of Sankirtan is Bahubir Militva Kirtayante Sankirtanam Uchyate. That is, many people get together and chant the holy name of the Lord loudly, petitioning him, and that has got the effect of Sankirtan. That's what Sankirtan really means, and that is what Prabhupada infused the whole world with. And sometimes we see that some people are interested in Sankirtan. And that's a dangerous trend. We are a Sankirtan movement. We will all go back to Godhead only together and not individually as a separate enterprise. If at all anybody has such plans, please drop it. Join the Sankirtan movement. We go back to Godhead in this way. So I'm very happy to see that here there is a confluence of all ISKCON devotees, managers, there are BBT personnel, there are book distributors, and all sorts of people together to discuss anything and everything to do with distributing the message of Lord Chaitanya through Prabhupada's books in the Brihat Matanga process. And I would like to really thank the organizers. Loud applause for all of them. For a wonderful organization of this conference and seminar, which I'm attending for the second time, and I'm very amazed at this amazing confluence and discussion of ideas, which I think will further Prabhupada's movement to a very great extent. Thank you. Number two, I told you it's all about giving. Prabhupada gave us this amazing organization which he crafted for the well-being of the whole world. And this organization is no ordinary organization. It is actually crafted to send people back to Godhead. And we see that happening. People are passing away and they're chanting while they do that. And people are surrounding them chanting, and we give them a warm send-off. They go back to Godhead. This is actually happening. And this is no ordinary organization. And Prabhupada gave us that organization, the books, festivals, association. More than anything else, Prabhupada gave himself to us. That was the greatest charity. The act of giving himself and allowing everybody to experience Krishna consciousness, he did. And he packed all that in his books. So giving the books of Prabhupada, let me reassure you, is the greatest charity. And Prabhupada said that in his books, it's the greatest welfare work. So each one of you is involved in the greatest welfare work ever for humanity, and you should all be very proud about it. And that is the act of great giving. So this is at the heart of Sankirtan that we are practicing, which is culminating in the book distribution and the person's meeting. And remember, this charity, people are waiting to receive this charity out there. And they are not people like us. So I title our book distribution a very special care, and that is non-devotee care. Somebody spoke about devotee care for ourselves, and we should be also bothered about people who are not devotees, and that is the focus and the arrowhead of our preaching in terms of book distribution. And there are people waiting out there for you. And let's take the example of South Africa. There are so many people waiting outside. We had discussions about how we are more Indian oriented and we should be expanding ourselves to the Africans and how we should do it. And if Lord Chaitanya is looking forward to see that all the Africans will also get books of Prabhupada and get Krishna consciousness, whom is he looking at? All the previous acharyas, Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya, whom are they looking at to be able to do this? A question to you. Whom are they looking at? You. Each one of us here are going to be the instruments to do that. And that, I think, is one of the most important things that we should note. The act of giving and the expectations from previous acharyas, from Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya, that you would be doing that. So that is the heart, and that's the responsibility we have to give these books to people, explain to them what it really means, this human life. Number 3, reading Prabhupada's books. Whenever Prabhupada got any of his book published, he said, I feel I've conquered an empire. And he said, you're distributing these books, they're wonderful, but I have one complaint against my disciples, that they don't read my books. They're busy distributing the books, and I think this is very important. If you want to be energized, rejuvenated, galvanize your enthusiasm into distributing books, then you must read the content of Prabhupada's books. And when you realize them and you understand them, you'll be so fascinated that you will be inspired to give that to others. One of the greatest inspirations you could have to distribute Prabhupada's books is to read them. And they are so vital and important. And I say that again, read Prabhupada's books. There's an instance when one of the disciples of Prabhupada approached Prabhupada while he was sitting on his desk. And he told Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Bhakti Vinoda Thakur is my favorite author. And then Prabhupada peeked at him from above his glasses. And then he had the audacity to say that again to Prabhupada. Bhakti Vinoda Thakur's books are wonderful, I love them. Prabhupada took his glasses out and told him, Bhakti Vinoda Thakur is your second best author. And therein Prabhupada has nailed something very important for us. We must read Prabhupada's books first. Through him we get to know Bhakti Vinoda Thakur, the previous acharyas, and every other Vaishnava acharya. And therefore it's vital for us to read his books. And you can see Prabhupada, when he was asked, we often quote that if you ever get money, print books, was one of the major instructions that Prabhupada got that inspired him to distribute books all over the world. Why did not Prabhupada publish Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's books? His spiritual master was a prolific writer, and he had a publishing house, and he just was publishing like nothing and writing like nothing. Why did he not print Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's books? I know somebody's going to say, oh, they were too difficult to understand. But the reason why Prabhupada did that is he published his books, and he told us that these books are written by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He is next to me and he's dictating to me, and I wrote them. So Prabhupada's books specifically are very important for us to read. And if we do that, I think our book distribution will go up, because it will be added inspiration and it will be great galvanization of our enthusiasm. And when you distribute those books, please don't leave them alone. I'm talking about another phase and another type of aspect of the book distribution that we need to do and sometimes we fail to do, is to cultivate those people. I'm talking about 5 C's. Contact them, which we have already done in your book distribution. Cultivate them, give them a little call, a WhatsApp message, an email, and then ask them, how are you doing? Did you read the book or is it on the shelf? How many of the books that we have distributed actually get read? And how many will get read if we just touched upon those people who have received these books, taken the pains to do that devotional service of parting with a little fund and taking those books seriously. And if we give them a little tap and encouragement, maybe they will read the book. And if they did, they will join your congregation and your meetings, and with a little care from our side, they will commit themselves to Krishna consciousness, and lo and behold, you have another book distributor. They read the books, and if you follow them up, they will actually contribute to book distribution. And I think that cultivating people and following them after they have received the books is one of the most important ways of creating more book distributors, increasing the book distribution. So don't leave them in the lurch, and don't be only interested in counting the number of books. Let's count number of devotees, because distribution is meant for increasing the number of devotees. I think this is not working. Oops. Should I? Yeah. No. Doesn't work. Okay. So this is a quote from Prabhupada. So in this age, it is more important to create devotees than to construct temples. My Guru Maharaj advised me to give more stress on literary work such as publishing books and magazines in Krishna consciousness. Making devotees associated with publishing books. That's the purpose. And I think that somewhere we shouldn't lose that purpose. Okay. And associated with that is measuring our book distribution effectiveness, which I think is being done in South Africa to a great extent. How many? We normally show that in statistics, and we should take feedback and maintain a database of those fortunate souls who have actually taken these books, follow them up, and in this way analyze our book distribution. I think this is very important, and that will help us also to increase our book distribution. Point 5. Change. We are in a changing world. Many things have changed since Prabhupada introduced his Krishna consciousness movement. And in fact, the world has changed a lot in terms of printing, communication, internet, etc., etc. And here is an amazing quote of Prabhupada, which I found to be revolutionary. Here Prabhupada is saying, you have not gone into the actual reading public, schools, colleges, university, libraries. They are only on the street. He means the book distributors. But the scholarly reading public you have not yet touched, is it not? Scholarly reading public means libraries, schools, colleges, universities, but you have not touched them. You're simply distributing books on the street. Our literature is meant for higher section, scholarly section. That section we have not yet touched. Philosophers, religionists, highly intellectual public. We are meant for that, our literature, that you have not touched yet. So we should endeavor to deal with it. What these great elite philosophers will speak before us, we have got so much stock. They can simply present some theories and theses, and we can defy all their proposals. This is amazing. So, making a change, these days this is the type of thing. I just picked up a cartoon from one other thing. Which book you like to take to a deserted island? Facebook. That's a new generation. In the postmodern era, you have people speaking like that. You give them things in the electronic media, on their phones and everything, they'll be happy to do it. Otherwise, they're thinking completely different, and we need to think differently, adapt ourselves. You can no more sell Nectar of Devotion to a philosopher saying it's about that great oceanic feeling, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. You have to find better ways of doing these things, and adapting to change is very important, otherwise sometimes book distributors get stuck. 6. The compassion of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, due to which reason we are sitting here today. His sacrifice. If we constantly remember Prabhupada, and his amazing sacrifice and his activity in coming all the way from India to the West and taking Krishna consciousness seriously for everybody, traveling on a long journey and having a very lofty mission. He told a reporter first, "What is your mission?" He said, "I want to change the way people think in this world." Amazing mission. Just a 70-year-old monk who has nothing with him, he embarked on this amazing mission and achieved it. Srila Prabhupada's books change the way we think. If you read Prabhupada's books, you change your worldview. And that's exactly what these books do. Prabhupada said that these are bombs that should be dropped on the laps of conditioned souls, and it is up to us to detonate them by following those conditioned souls and doing the needful to them. 50 years back, Srila Prabhupada traveled and took a historical journey on the Jaladuta, and he arrived in Cochin, Kerala, after Colombo. And this is the year August 20th, 21st and 22nd. He arrived there, and that's the place where, like Gauravani Maharaj mentioned, he picked up 200 sets of his Bhagavatams, and he traveled all over the world with that. And that's from where Bhagavad Dharma started getting preached all over the world. So we are celebrating that and marking that occasion of Srila Prabhupada's arrival in Cochin by offering to Prabhupada the Srimad Bhagavatam in the local Malayalam language, the language of the heart of the Keralites, in keeping with what has been discussed here. And our BBD devotees are at a great marathon effort, and we don't have such a wonderful establishment and infrastructure there, but they're doing a great job, and we have done an amazing program of having a pre-publication offer in order to get money for printing the books, because we're pretty much beating the lonely drum up there. And this pre-publication offer is something that people pay up front for the whole set, and as and when it comes out of the press, each canto or each volume, they get it. And this is very popular, and we sold 1,000 sets of the Bhagavatam already, and with that money we're printing the Bhagavatam. So this is an example of the type of inspiration that Prabhupada can give you. I am amazed myself that it is working. Some people may not cooperate with it, but the others are amazed at the type of facility that we have in giving them the Bhagavatam. It's such a much lower price than they would get after it's being published. So we plan to offer this to Prabhupada. Our desire was to sell all the books that we are printing before we can release it, so that we can tell Prabhupada they got sold before they were released. And that's exactly this. We get all the money up front, and we give the books later to them. And this way we got our market done already. So this is something that we are trying to expand into other regions of books. And every time Prabhupada's one volume of the Bhagavatam comes, we make a big noise. We release it in a public function, and we put it up in the newspapers and all the media, and sometimes on the TV, everything. And this way people come to know that Bhagavatam is coming out very soon. And we'll be releasing that in time with Prabhupada's mercy. So ours is a government, a democratic Sankirtan government that is based on the books, of the books, by the books of Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.